Next series here is going to be a CARS, or a controlled articular rotation, for the spine. We're going to use the Swiss ball here. I recommend a 55 centimeter or smaller. If you don't have a Swiss ball, you can just use a big pillow or even roll up a blanket or a sleeping bag, something to just kind of hug. I'll explain why in 1 second. So when we hug the ball, what happens is our scapulas, or our shoulder blades, move out and around the ribs. And when that happens, it can make it a lot easier for us to practice extending through the spine and flexing through the spine. Sometimes the shoulder blades get in the way. It's a great tool for us to create irradiation by pulling the ball into us. So we can make this exercise nice and easy by having light amounts of irradiation and moving through our spine car, or we can really pull this in close and make it significantly harder. So we're going to practice this from a wide leg stance, but just know this can be done from any stance. I just like the wide leg because it puts us in a position that we're normally not in. So I'll show you from both angles, from the front and the side. So you're going to come into, whatever wide position is comfortable for you. You shouldn't be like fighting to stay up, but it should be in a position where you feel just maybe a little bit of a stretch. But everyone's position is going to be different. So the ball is going to sit kind of just on top of the belly, and you're going to reach around and give yourself a hug. And the neck is important as well, because we don't want the head to be protruding forward. We want it to move back. You'll see that a lot clearer when I show you from the side. So squeezing the bum as best you can and making sure that the feet stay planted into the ground. You don't want to feel the weight transferring from toe to heel. And here, nice and tall, straighten the legs. You can flex your leg muscles and your bum. And then first thing we're going to do is we're going to practice going into flexion. So tucking the chin and rounding into flexion. From here, we can just stand up. Moving the belly button forward first, and then feeling the muscles of the upper back as we get very tall here. And we go into flexion again. And up. So you're really making sure you're moving slow enough that you feel your hips aren't moving forward. As you go up, your hips are going to want to come forward, and as we flex down, the hips are going to want to go back. But we want to make sure we're just moving through the upper back. So we'll come into flexion now. We'll do the full rotation. I'm going to turn sideways for this so you can see what I'm doing. So we're in that wide leg position again. And here, you're going to come into flexion. Notice how my hips don't move at all. I'm reaching forward with the shoulders. And then we're going to twist to one direction, moving, thinking about you have a laser in between your chest and you're trying to keep it straight. And then we're going to come up. Tell people if there's a light on the end of this ball, you're trying to draw a really big circle out in the distance. Notice how my head isn't cranking up. Head stays retracted and the chin tucked against my chest. We're moving just through the back. And then here, pull down before we come back to center. Call it carving the corners. Go the other way. So you initially it might look like a square, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? But eventually, as we get more control, we can feel that we're actually carving those corners out so we can make a circle. Should be done slow and very controlled, and with small exhales throughout the entire range to make sure that we're using our core muscles effectively to stabilize our low back and our hips. Now, one more thing. If I go this way, I should feel a stretch on the front of my body and activation on the back. If I start to move to the left, I should feel a stretch on the right side of my body and a slight contraction on the left side of my back. Okay? So we want to make sure that whatever angle is open, you can see how this angle is open and this one's closed. We feel it here, but there's no pain. Very important to always avoid close angle pain. And if that does present itself, then we may need to take a few different precautions to work around that, but one simple thing you can do on your own is just make that rotation just a little bit smaller and become strong in the range that your body is willing to give you. Sometimes that alone can help you expand those pain-free ranges all by yourself. So enjoy the video today. These can be done every single day, and changing up the position from a wide leg to a narrow stance to a lunge position, anything that's going to give a little bit of a different input is going to register with your nervous system and just help you kind of hold these patterns even better.